Okay, I think we can get started. So once again, hello everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining another Atera webinar. Our focus today is with our special guest from Mendocino College. We're going to be talking about AI Copilot and how we can turn AI into IT wins. But obviously, before we dive into the session, let's do some quick housekeeping. This session is being recorded and will be shared with all registrants attendees after the webinar via email. We encourage this to be an interactive session, so please, if you have questions, comments, feel free to type them into the Q&A box. We do have a Q&A section right at the end, but we'll be addressing them as we go forward. At the end of this webinar, we have a very brief survey that will be launched, just a couple of questions. We encourage you, please respond. It helps us bring the topics that are of interest. And obviously, if any of you are Atera customers and you also want to showcase your success or share some tips and insights with the community, please reach out. We're more than happy to do a session with you as well. If this is your first time attending an Atera webinar, I'd like to invite you to visit our website. That's where we mention all of our events. And if you haven't yet registered for Atera's flagship event, Ateraverse, which is happening on May 20th, this is your opportunity. We are running it at 3 different time zones, APAC, EMEA, and North America. Just scan that barcode and you can easily register and add it to your calendar, save the date. We'll be more than excited to share with you all of the new things that we're launching and product roadmap and engaging discussions with clients. So without further ado, I now want to officially introduce our guest. So I'm Muna Asi. I head the product marketing team at Atera, and I'm very, very excited today to be hosting Mr. Johnston, who is the Director of Information Technology. Hello again, Dave. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Glad to be here.
Welcome. Amazing. Very happy to have you. Dave has led the Mendocino Lake Community College District's IT for 5 years. He continues to lead the team. During his time at the district, David and his team have completed several large projects, some of which include a data lakehouse implementation, complete network replacement, deployment of hybrid classroom carts, and the implementation of numerous software tools, some of which Dave will share with us today and that experience and how they brought in Atera. Dave is the president of the management team. He serves as the chair of the district's technology community and is also a member of the planning budget committee, the facility safety committee, the equal employment opportunity committee. That's a lot, Dave. And in addition, he's also adjacent online faculty for Brigham Young University in Idaho and BYU Pathway Worldwide Teaching in Computer Information Technology. Mr. Johnson lives in Ukiah, California. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yep.
With his wife, Grace, and he has 8 children and 22 grandchildren. That's amazing. They definitely keeps your IT busy for sure. Yep. Wonderful. So Dave, just a little bit for those of you who are joining, who are not quite familiar with Atera or who are not Atera customers, just briefly, Atera is an enterprise-grade unified platform and all-in-one IT management solution. We have today over 13,000 clients globally and who collectively manage more than 6 million endpoints. The certified platform, which is infused with AI at its core, and we're going to talk and focus about AI, has remote monitoring and management, IT, ticketing and help desk solution, patch management, an entire marketplace with different solutions that you can bring on board and integrate within Atera, a really robust platform that is being used, as I said, by enterprise clients. And today we're going to hear specifically from Dave at the college and how they're implementing it. So maybe we can go directly into there. So Dave, You are the spotlight today. We'd love to hear from you about Mendocino College. So please tell me a little bit about the college. Tell us about the college and your role as the IT director.
Sure. So Mendocino College is a two-year public college in Northern California. We're about 120 miles north of San Francisco in the Redwoods. It's an agricultural area, an area where people go for vacation. We have about 650 staff, about 5,200 students, and we have a wide variety of students, from students that are in high school taking college classes while they're there to seniors in their 80s taking enrichment classes. We're a Hispanic serving institution as well as the college with the largest amount of Native American students in our system. Our main campus is in Ukiah. We have satellite campuses in our area and little classrooms in a couple other areas. The college's footprint is about 3,200 square miles. The main campus, like I said, is in north of San Francisco. It is a beautiful area. That's a picture of our campus from the air. And so it's a great place to go to work every day.
Looks lovely. Looks lovely. A lot of greenery there.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about your IT department, right? You had you're the director of IT. What does the department look like?
So yeah, we have about 12. We have 12 people on our team. So we have, IT help desk and end user support folks. We also maintain the network and server infrastructure. We have instructional technology, so all the things that go on in the classroom, telephone systems. We have, our ERP and other applications. Certainly these days, cybersecurity, and we do a lot of technology training to help our users make use of the tools that we have.
Okay, and when we talk about core day-to-day, I remember as part of our conversation, I think you said point when COVID kicked in, where all of a sudden, IT didn't become a nice to have, it was a must. Can you tell us a little bit about your day-to-day responsibilities and, what are some of the expectations, if you like, and how this needs have evolved if we look at a healthcare of an education institute?
Sure, for sure. Just what used to, as you say, IT used to be kind of nice to have to the point where now it's just really infused into every part of what the college does. During the pandemic, we switched, to completely online within about 3 weeks. And I was literally driving to Costco to try to buy laptops because you couldn't get anything. And so really, as I told our people at the time, we were the most important people on campus. And so really now technology is just a part of everything that we do. And I think, the expectations of users has changed. They really expect, 24/7 response. They expect to be able to get help whenever they need it. It's really everything moved online, and that's the user's expectations now that we really didn't have before.
And when you talk about users, can you tell us a little bit about your environment? About 12 IT, but as a general environment?
Sure. So we support a little over 5,000 students every semester, as well as about 650 staff. We have both full-time and part-time staff. So our part-time staff are all over the area, and so we're supporting people remotely, as well as people that are on campus. And as I said, we have centers, so we have people we're supporting at remote locations as well. So pretty much anything related to technology at the college is our responsibility somehow. And so we're busy. We have lots to do, and 12 people is not enough.
12 people is not enough. That gets us to really how do you expand? Obviously when you're not expanding the team or when your team is running and making sure that systems are up, how do you then think about the things that you still haven't done and the new technologies that you're implementing? So that gets me to the story of Atera. Do you recall when you first brought Atera in-house and, what problems you were trying to solve?
Yes, for sure. So it's kind of a funny story because we weren't looking for Atera. We were looking for some kind of a tool to manage our assets. We had a basic help desk and we had some of the individual tools that we needed, but we really had a need to manage our assets and keep track of all those computers that we had out there. But as we were going through evaluation of a bunch of different tools, we quickly came to realize that Atera had not only what we were looking for there, but it had other things that we needed but didn't think we could afford to do at the time. Things like patch management, things like consolidated remote access, um, alerting, monitoring the health of computers and letting us know hopefully ahead of time before something breaks. And so that was kind of the bonus of Atera, as we found all those things in one package. Not to mention the AI, which we're talking about today. It was really kind of a surprise that we found something that met the need we had, plus other needs we had but didn't know we could do.
Wonderful. And as an IT leader in a team that's this large, obviously, you talked about over the years changing technologies and implementing new technologies. That must be, a process. Can you tell us a little bit about what that onboarding process looked like for you? And I think you specifically talked about professional services at the time.
Yeah, with a product as broad and all-encompassing as Atera, the challenge for a small IT team is figuring out who are we going to dedicate to kind of onboarding that product. And the reality is you don't have people that have the time to do that. And so fortunately for us, we were able to make use of the professional services team to really help us speed up that process, to give us the instruction we needed, to help us with the settings and the best practices, all those kinds of things we would have had to figure out on our own. I mean, the Atera documentation is great, but it's just someone having the time to dig into it and to figure out how that applies to our individual circumstances. And so the professional services team was fantastic. They met with us and they kind of figured out our individual needs and how best to tune Atera to meet those needs. And it made a pretty substantial difference. Things like agent deployment and configuration of the help desk and the workflows and all that was a big bonus of having that professional services team.
And so, as you mentioned, you came in for one thing and then discovered a whole set of other capabilities. Did that get you to retire some of the other solutions or phase them out gradually? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So we phased out our help desk software and moved to Atera. We have remote access tools, but we're able to use those now within Atera. And so it really has helped us kind of consolidate everything into the famous one pane of glass that we're all looking for. But to be able to get all those things in one place now makes our staff a lot more efficient. They're not popping from all these unrelated tools all the time.
Great. And I think to the key topic that we want to focus in today, right? So we hear a lot about AI. And, I know that some teams have certain concerns or they might be asking themselves, is AI, what we need today for the IT? What was your initial reaction to the idea of integrating AI into IT operations?
Well, certainly, as an IT professional, I'm excited about new technology, and so we were all very excited about the promise of AI and the things that we could do with it. And we were there in November of 2022 when ChatGPT got released, and we were in there playing and seeing the potential. So I think that excitement really, as I started to think about applying that to IT, is what are those repetitive tasks, those things that we're always doing. Certainly for the college, at the beginning of every semester, it's password resets. We literally are doing. It seems like we're doing nothing but password resets. Because all of our students have somehow forgot their password since the last semester. So the idea of what are those kind of, repetitive things that we can get the AI to help us with. Our programmers have been making extensive use of AI for scripting and programming. That's been a pretty incredible bonus for them. I think that, in the old days, we used to talk about one of the things that made you a good IT person was the ability to use Google well. You knew how to search Google. Now I really think that it's knowing how to create prompts for AI to get the answers that you need to figure out the diverse set of questions and problems that we all run into, because none of us can know all those things, but having AI as a tool to help us troubleshooting and identifying solutions I think is really important. I think, like everybody, some healthy concerns and caution about, data security, about possible bias and making sure that there was that human in the loop, that we weren't letting AI go off and do its own thing. I've seen the Terminator movie too. So it's really about, making sure that it's helping our team. It's not like we're going to be able to replace our team. It's like we're going to make our team more efficient. There's a great quote from an economist talking about AI, is that AI is not going to take your job, but a human using AI is going to take your job. And so I think that's really the thing, is we have to look at AI as a benefit to our staff. How can we make them more effective? How can we get it to do the things that they didn't really want to do anyway, like those password resets, so they can focus on the exciting and fun work of IT and solving difficult problems and keeping users going.
Thank you, Dave, and we'll dig a little deeper into that. And if you'll allow me, we interviewed your team a couple of weeks ago, and I want to share briefly a snippet of that interview and how they've shared part of their usage. But for those that are not familiar, and we'll talk a little bit more about Atera's AI Copilot. So within the Atera platform, we have this AI agent. We like to call it the IT companion, that augments, replaces in some cases, and supports the day-to-day work of IT professionals. Doesn't replace the professional, replaces the day-to-day work of the IT professional. And we'll dig a little deeper into some of the capabilities where it's able to enhance the skills, efficiency, and productivity, as you just talked about. So that is the Copilot. That's what we're going to focus on. And basically, if we want to look into what are some of the popular use cases, and we'd love to hear from you in a minute, Dave, about what you're seeing as an IT leader and where you're pushing your team to put the focus as they're looking at as the Copilot. But some of the common use cases that we're seeing across the team is using it to generate scripts, diagnostics and suggestions, where since the Copilot and the agent resides within the device, it can provide real-time diagnostics, which can then assist the technician in identifying and triaging the issue, knowledge-based creation, providing actionable solutions, so looking into the scripts that you've created, prompting and putting them in the face, or as you talked about, password resets. So in one click of a button, it gives you that ability to automatically reset the password, custom responses, remote session summaries. So we'll talk a little bit about how your team is using some of those. But as I said, I'd love to share a snippet that we did with the team, a short video, and I hope that this will load properly. So let's
to facilitate the needs of the staff and its students with any sort of computer-related issues that they come across.
We have installed on all of our devices the Atera software, which allows us to do like patch management and actually control the computers themselves and get them locked down and prevent people from using things on them that we don't want them to use. I can also push out applications through Atera, which is really nice. Another thing I like about Atera is they have really robust AI scripting software that is really easy to use.
Atera is a great system. It's become our main ticket system, as well as on-site monitoring of all of our computers. We use Atera to monitor all of the devices on the campus. We use it as a database to remember and know what computers are on the campus and who they belong to. We also enjoy monitoring what's happening around the campus, whether it's hard drive usage or memory usage. We appreciate the alerts that it gives. Lets us know what's going on around the campus on all the devices.
One of the ways we have used the AI Copilot in the past is to push out some specific Adobe application software, and it was really super quick and simple. I used the AI to direct it to the specific folder that we had it saved on our network shares, and the deployment and everything was super simple after that. Life before Atera was kind of hectic. Whenever we just push out a computer now, we just install Atera on it and we know that it's safe. Patch management's going to be going through. We have records of what's going on with the computer and everything.
I do feel like we are in control a lot more since we've switched to Atera, that we have a better bird's eye view of what's going on.
Okay, we're back. And Dave, tell me that we could hear that.
We could hear that. At least I could hear
Okay,
it.
perfect. So introduce us to the team. Who did we just see there?
So you saw Bill and Andrew, two of our desktop support technicians, and so they're the folks at the front line that are keeping things running and certainly getting the software on machines. And so I think deployment has been a big benefit of Atera for us, and the ability to create scripts to push out packages as we need them, for sure.
So, with a team that big, thank you, Dave, first of all, for the introduction. With a team that big, do you decide who should or should not use certain parts of the technology and focused on AI? How do you determine, and what kind of, let's say, guardrails do you put in place?
Good question. Really at this point, I'm kind of pushing all my team towards making as much use of the AI as they can. I think they kind of self-limit that, IT guys like to be in control, and so they're kind of pushing their way through Atera and getting to know it better and getting comfortable with the way it functions. And so I think certainly the kind of the easy entry point was the scripting. Being able to use the AI Copilot to help create a script to do whatever, whether it's we have some machines that have software on them that keep students from making changes to them when they reboot. And so being able to turn that off, do a patch update, turn that back on was one of the scripts that we were working on. So kind of it makes it really nice for those kind of automated processes that people don't have to run around all the computers to touch them all the time to do things.
Okay. And we know that AI is not perfect, right? I mean, the system is still learning, and there may be glitches here and there. Are you using it within your ticketing?
Yeah, so one of the ways we're using it within ticketing is the ticket summary. So as you've got a ticket, particularly one that's long, maybe it's been through one or two technicians, and you're the new person coming in, so you can use the ticket summary to kind of quickly give you a kind of a bird's eye view of where that ticket has been. When you're working in IT, you often deal with people on their worst day after their technology has failed them, and so they can be upset. And so I've also had the team using AI to help craft those responses when someone is upset and you're trying to get them through to solve their issue. The AI has been helpful in kind of more carefully crafting answers to kind of to bring them down from that upset point to a point where the technician can work with them and solve the problem. I think certainly the knowledge base is an area where we're making advantage. The AI is kind of there saying, hey, I've got some ideas for your knowledge base. And so that's been really helpful to be able to basically take tickets that we've closed, and the AI is helping us summarize them and come up with point by point items for the knowledge base so we can build our knowledge base out, which has been a big benefit.
Amazing. And I like the fact that you brought up the concept of the tone of voice and the brand, right? I mean, many times we hear from clients, I can always write a response, I can use ChatGPT, I can do things outside. But obviously having it all in a single place where it's looking at previous tickets, it's consolidating, it has the sentiment in there. So you kind of recognize ahead of time, here you've got an angry user or an escalated ticket. And at the end, that conversation is your brand. Yeah. And I do agree. We don't normally come to IT when we're happy or bored or, oh, now I have some free time to change some technology that I didn't have time for. So absolutely agree there. If we're going to talk about, you're specifically in the education sector, but obviously you've had years of experience. What guidance would you offer to organizations that are currently reluctant to consider AI or Atera's AI Copilot, to be more specific?
Yeah, I think, one thing is to start small, to, pick one area of the AI that you want to use, whether that is, ticket summaries or scripting, crucial tasks, but basically coming up with, those small things that you can do. I think, I had a little bit of a sales experience I had to do with my team to say, yes, this is a good thing. This is something we want to do. And so I was able to show them some quick wins. I think that's helpful because, you've got a diverse group of folks, and so some people are more likely to, engage with something. Some are maybe a little more reluctant. So being able to show some quick wins, I think, is a big benefit. I think, maintaining, those guardrails of what we use AI for, what we don't use AI for is important. I think, monitoring the AI. So as we're creating that script, we're going to go through that script ourselves. We're not just going to turn it loose on our network. We're going to look at it and make sure that, okay, yeah, that does the things I wanted it to do. We're going to test it on individual machines before we roll, things out a lot wider. I think okay, I have some notes so I don't forget anything because I'm nervous.
All good.
There. So yeah, I think using the AI to kind of create some of those workflows and some of those processes to streamline things has been a big benefit. And I think it's the other thing we talked about, keeping the human in the loop, making sure that the human is involved and the human is the one doing the work, and AI is there as another tool in our toolbox.
Thank you for that. There's a question here that takes us a little back to some of the use cases, and I hope that you're able to answer this, Dave. I think someone on your team in the video talked about how they're using AI to deploy software. So there's a question here from Dan. He'd love for you to elaborate on how you use the AI to deploy software, if you have a more in-depth explanation on that.
You bet. So within Atera, the AI scripting, and so in this case, they were doing the Adobe Acrobat, or the Adobe Suite, the Creative Cloud Suite, which is a gigantic package. And so they were basically scripting that, and they had to do it. I think in this case was a computer lab full of computers, so like 30 computers at a time. So rather than physically going there or remoting in each of those machines, they were able to create with AI Copilot a script that would go grab the installer, copy it over to the machine, start the installation process, and kind of go through that process on pretty much the 30 machines at once, rather than having to do them individually. And we also use the Atera feature of deploying software as we onboard machines. We have a workflow that primarily Andrew and Bill run that will kind of, once the Atera agent is on there, then they can deploy all the other software we typically deploy at one time, rather than having to do all that manually. So it's been good.
Wonderful. And just specifically, do you support all kinds of devices, Windows, Mac, Linux?
So we have a combination. Mostly the desktop machines and laptop machines are Windows, but we have our art department who the creative folks feel like they have to have a Mac, and so we have some Macs on campus, and we use Atera for both of those platforms. Plus we have Linux machines, mostly on the server side, that we also use Atera to manage.
Okay, perfect. So again, I welcome the audience here. Please share your questions. Dave will have some time at the end to answer as well. I think you touched a little bit about the concerns, but I think it'll be great to kind of hone in if there are any fears, employee fears from using this within your team, and then if there's anything specific to education around compliance or security that you feel you needed to take into consideration.
Sure. So I think, in many cases, people in IT, although we like change or like technology, we kind of have our processes. This is the way I do this thing. And so bringing any new tool, but particularly a tool that's, leverages AI as much as Atera does, was kind of a challenge. And so I said, we kind of, look for those quick wins, show them, here's this scripting tool. This is a way that you can use the benefit of the AI to do things you're already doing, rather than spending an hour or 2 hours developing that script. You can use the AI to create that, the first draft of that script for you, and then you can tweak it. Or if your script isn't working the way you want, you can use the AI to help you figure out why. And so I think it's finding those use cases that resonate with each of the members of the team. I think the good news was, I think that none of our team feels like the AI is going to replace them. I think they see it as a benefit, but I think, there was just some concern about whether it's going to work. And, we've all heard about AI hallucinations. And so they didn't want that to happen when they were doing the deployment. So I think, getting comfortable with the tool and monitoring it, making sure it works the way that they thought I think has been a good process for us. Certainly, data protection, compliance, We have a lot. One of the reasons that higher education is a target of cyber criminals is because we have a lot of personal data on our students, on our staff, and so using any AI tool, you want to make sure that that data is not being used to train. It's not being retained. It's not something that somebody can jailbreak the AI to reveal your personal data. And so those are certainly concerns that we had, and we've seen good success with the Atera AI Copilot and in keeping our data safe and secure and allowing us to use it to do things better, to make AI make the AI makes the IT team work better, work harder, work more effectively.
Thank you. That's great, and especially when it's genuine that you're seeing it.
Mhm.
I see here. How many technicians do you need to manage all of the campus assets? So I think you answered that, if I understand correctly.
There's never
Yeah.
enough technicians, but we have four technicians on our main site, and then a couple of technicians associated with some of the remote locations. But like I said, it's never enough. There's always more work than there are technicians, for sure. But the AI does help with that.
Perfect. And in terms of your technician distribution, obviously, I'm guessing you also use the different technician groups and the granularity of the
Mhm.
permissions. Do you have certain technicians that focus on certain area versus or tiered?
Yeah, so we have both. We have some location, focus. We have technicians that are focused on those centers versus the ones on Ukiah, and then we have some temporary technicians we bring in, and so we're able to use the permissions to give them access to the things that they need to do, but not everything, to allow them to do their job without having too much access. So that's been a good feature for us.
Thank you. I don't see another question. Let's continue here. I think the question from my perspective is, so looking ahead, okay, how do you see Atera and AI broadly supporting the future of IT at your college?
So one of the things that we haven't done with Atera yet is to roll out the self-service portal. So that's kind of our next big step. Our users are used to calling us on the phone or emailing us with their support, and so it's going to be a change to them to kind of send them to the portal. But I think once we can show them the benefits of the portal, being able to maybe self-heal their own issues, to be able to find answers to their problems outside the normal workday, I think those are going to be benefits for our users and for our team. I think one of the promises for me is kind of the proactive maintenance, being able to kind of see history of devices, what are the indications of the device that there's some problem coming. I think AI has potential to kind of to do that, to identify the hardware lemons, the devices that need to be replaced. I think hopefully being able to move the IT team away from just the day-to-day mundane password reset stuff to the things that we never have time for. I think every IT department has a list of 100 things that they never have time to do, and so being able to focus them to those things like cleaning up AD, moving to hybrid AD, all those kinds of things, that replacing old servers, the things that never seem to get done because you've got a million help desk tickets. I think using the AI analytics to kind of just help us improve, starting to look at potentially some of the how long before we respond to tickets, how long are tickets open, starting to look at some of those KPIs, and using the AI Copilot to help us improve those and give the users a better experience. Optimize our capabilities, find out what the training needs are. Those sorts of things I think are important moving forward. I'm really looking forward to see what Atera does next. I mean, even in the time we've been on the product, there's been a lot of improvements and changes, and I'm looking forward to some of the things that I've heard rumors of that you're working on. And so I'm looking forward to see how the AI Copilot changes and improves and gets more effective over time.
Wonderful. And that brings me back to the note of why Ateraverse. So definitely that's where we're going to be launching some of the latest technologies, touching briefly on what you just mentioned on how to support and enable, let's say through the self-service portal, delegate some responsibilities onto the user and allow them to self-serve. So I highly encourage, that's where you're going to hear a lot more on the rollout and some of the new capabilities with AR. There's a question here. Are the students at the college starting to use AI? And is that something that your team supports or offers training? Or do you offer a separate education? I'm guessing AI in general, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's really an interesting thing. I think AI has been a tremendous issue for folks in the education field. I think we have a mixture of our staff that are embracing it versus the ones that are waiting for it to go away. I think that the challenge is figuring out, where does the benefits of AI, that students can use it effectively to learn versus trying to use AI to avoid learning and just getting the answers to their questions. And so we actually are looking at rolling out some AI training in conjunction with our librarian, to kind of give students, insights on, what's the ethical and effective use of AI, where does it work well, where does it not work so well, what are the challenges that they need to use that they need to have as users of AI to make it work effectively for them and to benefit them.
Perfect. Yeah. And I think, again, you are the expert here within education, but, as a mother, I'm seeing it today in schools. You can't get around it. And it's better to address it head on with, as you said, the institutes or the higher education introducing it within specific frameworks. And like you said earlier in that comment, the human that's going to use AI in the future, that is going to be the future. So you can't get around it. There's a question here from Prasad. David, you can also see it in the Q&A. How Atera can use AI features in automation deployment of OS and basic software bundles along with MS app configuration. It's a long question.
Yes. So I'm not really sure as far as OS deployment. So we're working with machines that have been, they come with their standard OS configuration, and then we're using the Atera agent as far as pushing out other packages. So other packages that we have, whether security tools as well as just the Office suite and other packages that users have. We used to do that by hand, and now, as I said, once a machine is getting ready for deployment, we install the Atera agent, and then they go ahead and use the workflows and scripts that they've created to push all those packages out there and prepare the machine for deployment out at the user's desk.
Okay. And then I think there's back to that question of the biggest challenges. Obviously, you can reiterate on some of the challenges that you're seeing on your side. But as head of product marketing and talking to clients, I think that, some of the areas that we're seeing in terms of challenge is how do you overcome that knowledge gap? And the fear of, what is AI touching and what is AI not touching, and how do I ensure those specific guardrails? And I think the other area is, where do you start? And I think David touched on this greatly. You need to roll it out gradually, starting off with, let's use it to do A and have the confidence, then let's move on to the area of ticketing and use it to do the things that we have the highest confidence in terms of summaries, generating a reply, creating a KB. So those are the areas. It's educating on what can and can't be done and how. And then obviously when it comes to scripting, right, what data do you prompt in? Don't put personal data as you're writing any prompts, or don't put a URL or a folder name in there. So I think the challenge is more, how do I understand and bring it in? What training do I need in order to get it moving? And where should I start? I think those are the areas that at least I'm being exposed to and understanding. And then how do I compare it with other tools out there? Those are easy answers that we provide in terms of, it's built in, it's contextual, it lives on the device, it runs within the software, it connects your RMM and your ticketing. So we don't really see this as something that, I'm going out and getting ChatGPT or Gemini that can help me replace what I can do within Atera. But again, maybe you want to reiterate in a sentence, David, on your end in terms of challenges.
Yeah, I think it's the buy-in from the technical team. So as you say, starting small. I mentioned before, finding those quick wins. What are the things that are going to greatly benefit them without a lot of work? And so I think those are two things to really help them get more comfortable with the idea of using AI in IT, and kind of how it can help them do their job better.
And I think as a final question here, as an IT director, how do you justify a budget for AI in IT?
Yeah, well, I think, like anything, IT never has enough budget. I think that's probably this thing that everyone here would tell me. I think, in the case of Atera, we were able to eliminate some other products that were doing, the same thing. But I think, the AI piece of it, it's really that ability to make the IT team more efficient, being able to do some of those mundane things that they don't want to do anyway, probably. But being able to just, do more with less, to be able to do, more things with the same staff you have. And as we talked about before, the demands only increased over time, post-pandemic, and that IT, especially in education, is such an integral part of everything we do, from lectures in the classroom to students doing their homework to, the whole gambit. And so there's just more demands on our team, and you don't necessarily see the increase in the size of your team to do that. And so you've got to look for other ways that you can maximize your effectiveness.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I don't see any more questions, so I think at this point, Dave, I want to. There is one more question if you still have time. I know you want to run
Sure.
to the conference. With
No,
the
I'm
end
good.
of Windows 10 support, have you started the challenge of upgrading 11 to Windows 11 computers? And is this something you're able to do with AI?
We have, and so you can use AI to create some scripting. So we have a script that basically looks at the machine, sees if it's capable of upgrading to 11, and then pushes out the update. And so that's one of the ways that we've been using the AI to kind of help us get through that. And we're definitely in the midst of that upgrade process, like everyone else, but we've been able to leverage some of the AI Copilot features to help us do that.
Perfect. And I think I can add to that. Definitely, one of the things that we're showcasing through the AI is how you can chat with the Copilot and ask it to provide a list of all of the computers that are, that have Windows 10, what operating system. It will list them, and you can export a report from there with all of the devices that require. But obviously, if you can then assign them the specific script to perform the update. So I think definitely you can use the AI to support you through that. And there is an out-of-the-box report to help you populate all of those machines that require this. This has been super exciting, Dave. I'm very happy to have you with me today, sharing your insights, giving us a sneak peek into how your team is using AI and the future, and how you're planning to grow and leverage more of the capabilities. Thank you so much. Do you have any final words?
Just thank you. It's been a great opportunity, and not as nerve-wracking as I thought it was going to be. Thank you. I would just say, yeah, give it a try. See, find those small easy wins, and don't be afraid to give it a try.
Thank you so much. I want to wish you a great rest of day, David, and enjoy the show. And to everybody else, if you missed it, Ateraverse coming up on May 20th. Feel free to scan the barcode and you can easily register. That's where we're going to be displaying all of what's new in Atera. We have a lot of exciting sessions, highly recommended. And right at the end, as promised, the short survey, I'm going to launch it. And at this point, I'll say thank you very much to Dave and to everybody that's joined us in today's session. Looking forward to seeing you all at Ateraverse. Thank you so much and have a great rest of day. Thank you.